What is up, guys? Pastor Matheny here. Thank you for joining me today in my study. I'm here with you today because I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite books. Now, I know I'm a bit of a nerd, but one of my favorite books is called Luther's Small Catechism. So, since I want to tell you just a little bit about what this book is, I'm going to take its three-part name in turn. So, the first part is Luther's. It's called Luther's Small Catechism simply because it was written by a man by the name of Martin Luther. Martin Luther looked like this, or he looked like this. At some point in time, he looked like this, and truth be told, he might have even looked like this. He didn't look like this. This is another very important Martin Luther, but not the one who wrote this catechism. So it's called Luther's Small Catechism, once again, because it was written by Martin Luther. Simple enough. The second part of the name is small. This is Luther's Small Catechism. Now, I suspect that many of you would take a look at Luther's Small Catechism that might look like this or it might look like this, and you'd look at it and you'd say, that looks like a pretty thick book. That's fairly serious reading. This one tops out at right about 300 pages. This one, which is a little bit newer, happens also to be thicker and hits almost 400 pages. I'm suspicious that many of you probably don't very often read 300 or 400 page books, so this certainly wouldn't qualify as a small book. But when I talk about Luther's Small Catechism, I'm not talking about a big, thick book like this. Instead, I'm actually talking about a small book like this that has only about 30 pages in it. And of those 30 pages, many of them are largely blank, like that one. This one you would have a hard time even really calling a book. It's actually more of a pamphlet. You could read the whole thing in maybe half an hour, probably less than that. It is quite a small book. You might wonder why, if this is Luther's Small Catechism, why do these Luther's Small Catechisms wind up tipping the scales at such large page numbers? That's because these have Luther's Small Catechism in them, but they have a little bit more to their name, and that is with explanation. This is a very short catechism, but it has a very, very long explanation. So you won't need to worry too much about that. Now, finally, the third part of the name is catechism, which is probably perplexing to most of you. It's a strange word we don't use very much, but just basically, catechism is a book intended to teach the Christian faith. So this is a catechism. It was written by Martin Luther to be a brief and simple explanation of Christianity. In fact, the smaller edition that I have here is titled A Simple Explanation of Christianity. So Martin Luther recognized that in his day, back in the 1500s, many Christians did not understand the Christian faith very well. So he wanted to write for them a very simple and a very concise explanation of what they, as people endeavoring to live as faithful Christians, should know about Christianity. So this small book, Luther's Small Catechism, contains in it 8 separate sections. We take the first 6 together, and we normally call them the 6 chief parts. Those chief parts are what deal primarily with the most important realities of the Christian faith. They are, in order, these. First come the 10 Commandments, then the Apostles' Creed, then the Lord's Prayer. Then comes the sacrament of Holy Baptism, the sacrament of Confession, and the sacrament of the altar, or communion as we would normally call it. The last 2 sections that fill out our 8 are called the daily prayers, the section of daily prayers, which contains, as you might expect, a number of prayers that Luther intended Christians to pray daily. And the final section is called the table of duties, which offers a very brief bit of instruction for Christians based on their station in life, whether they're fathers or husbands or children or pastors or hearers or government officials. So those 8 parts are what round out, once again, Luther's Small Catechism. So this hopefully is enough of a brief introduction into what Luther's Small Catechism is. In future videos, we will take a look precisely at why we should care about it and its relationship to us as Christians. So if you have any questions or comments for me, feel free to post them in the comments section down below. Feel free also, of course, to reach me by email or in person or on the telephone. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and until the next one, peace.